This is Welsh ASMR 82. Hey, how you doing? So I've got a habit on this channel of starting things and never finishing them. So I did promise you about 2-3 weeks ago that when I started doing a video with this and I ran out of time, that I would come back and finish it off. So let's do that. This is the Handy Road Atlas of Europe by Collins, and what we were doing was we were flicking through the pages and just taking a look at different things. We can see that this book covers Iceland, Ireland and the UK, Spain and Portugal, France, Luxembourg, Belgium, Netherlands, Switzerland, Liechtenstein and Austria, Italy, including its islands. We have Greece and the western tip only of Turkey. We also have Bulgaria, Romania and Moldova, a tiny sliver of Ukraine, a tiny little bit of Belarus, Norway, Sweden, Finland, the tiny edges of northwestern Russia, then Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, with the enclave of Russia there as well, Poland, Germany, Denmark, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and then Hungary, as well as Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, North Macedonia and Albania, Montenegro, and just trying to work out whether to say RKS, yeah, the Republic of Kosovo is there as well. Cyprus, however, didn't make it onto the list. Not quite sure why. This is northern Scotland. We can see the capital Edinburgh here, as well as the larger population density of Glasgow. So Glasgow is the larger city, but Edinburgh is the official capital of Scotland. Scotland has a lot of islands. We can see the island of Lewis here, the Sea of Hebrides, and the Orkney Islands, the Shetland Islands, which are really far north off the shore of Scotland. I believe they used to belong to the Kingdom of Norway at one point. And then just a bit further off land as well, we have the Faroe Islands, which do belong to the Kingdom of Denmark. And are very beautiful. If you've never seen pictures of the Faroe Islands, you should look. It's very rugged terrain. Looks like something from Game of Thrones, maybe. Very rugged terrain, lots of waterfalls and beaches and cliffs. And this is the southern tip. This is the southern uplands, the southern tip of Scotland. And this is then England, just the north of England, including places like Newcastle upon Tyne, Sunderland, Middlesbrough, and then the massive Yorkshire, including Leeds, York, and Huddersfield, Wakefield, Hull, Rotherham, etc. And then Lancashire over here, so we have, although it's not actually technically Lancashire anymore, it's been broken up to like Greater Manchester and stuff, Bolton, Manchester itself. And we also have Blackburn and Preston up here, Burnley, and then Liverpool over here, just at the top of the north of my country of Wales, where we see the place names change dramatically from places like Chesterfield and Macclesfield to Rhos Llaner Rhigrog. Rhos Llaner Rhigog. Even I found that difficult. Colwyn Bay, for example. Also S3. The Llyn Peninsula. And this is our largest island. We don't have many islands, unlike Scotland. Scotland's got loads. We have very few, and this is our largest. This is Anglesey. In Welsh it's called Ynys Môn. And then this is Holyhead. In Welsh we call it Caergybi. And you can catch a boat over to Dublin. In Irish, Ballyarclay. So Dublin's here, and the vast majority, like some crazy proportion of the Irish population lives in or around Dublin. And then we can see, I think maybe there's a more dedicated page to Ireland. Yes. We can see the political division here of Ireland into Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. So I've been to Dublin, I've been to Cork, which I loved, and I adored Galway. This area here and this area here are the main Irish Gaelic speaking areas. Just Galway is just on the edge of this, the Gaeltacht. This is the area where lots of people speak Irish day to day. Whereas in Wales we don't really have that sort of thing, but we do have the vast majority of Welsh speakers centred around Carmarthenshire. Carmarthen is the capital, but not the largest city. Carmarthen in Welsh is Caerfyrddin, which literally means the fort of Merlin, because that's where the story of the Knights of the Round Table was set, supposedly. The actual most Welsh speakers live in Llanelli, which is just here. I'm from Swansea, but surprisingly, just when you consider that this is the hub of Welsh speakers in Wales, as well as the whole of the north, particularly up in Anglesey, and it must be said as well, Carnarvon, which is here, has a small population, but 80% of them can speak Welsh, which is the largest percentage of Welsh speakers in any place in Wales. So up the north, there's a lot of Welsh speakers. So that's where the largest percentage of Welsh speakers live per population, per people, you know. But the most, in terms of numbers, is in Carmarthen here, and Llanelli specifically, which isn't a city in Wales, it's actually a large town. Swansea, however, I'm very ashamed to say, has one of the lowest percentages of Welsh speakers in Wales. That's where I'm from. Cardiff, the capital over here, is a much better one. Newport is the third largest city, it's here. And Wrexham is up the north here. But actually, although it's a city, I think there are at least two places within Wales that have a larger population, and they are Barry and Bridgend. So they have larger populations for their towns, and Wrexham has a smaller population in those two places, but is a city. I recently travelled all the way up to Yorkshire by car, and when I came back we decided to go this way rather than use the M4, our sort of very fast road. I went this way, which is what we call the heads of the valleys, and it basically was over the top of the mountains. And because it was an actual sunny day in Wales for once, I joke, but we do have a lot of grey and rainy days in Wales. Because I was travelling over the top of the mountains on this brand new road that we've built in the sunshine, the view was absolutely stunning. I do love my country. And then we've got the Netherlands. The The Netherlands is here. The Hague is here, Den Haag. And Amsterdam is here. So this is what you call Holland. Noord-Holland and Zuid-Holland, north and south. And I was looking it up. It was fairly recently, it was like in the 90s, I think, maybe the early 2000s, that the Dutch government said, particularly to our government, but to everyone, can you stop calling us Holland, please, and call us the Netherlands instead? Because to a Dutch person, if you say I'm from Holland, they will assume that you mean from this area here. Probably specifically from Amsterdam or its surrounding areas. But yeah, this area in the west is Holland, but the rest of the country is not Holland at all. It's just like saying everyone in America is from California or New York. So we have Rotterdam, we have Breda, Dordrecht, Utrecht, lovely, beautiful city. They say that that is like Little Amsterdam, so it's like Amsterdam without the American tourists. Of course, the Netherlands being very famous for having very, very, how can we say, relaxed views on soft drugs. And also prostitution is legalized there as well. So this fascinates. When I went to Amsterdam, I went with my devout Catholic friend who was American, and we kept on bumping into all these Americans walking around just being completely flabbergasted by how, how everything is basically so open and generally accepted. And yeah, she was like, I'm a Catholic, there's too much going on here, we need to leave. So we left and we went to the far safer Brussels. Not quite as exciting, I have to say. Very pretty all the same, and they do very, very good waffles. So then we went to Brussels rather than stay an extra day in the tempting Amsterdam where anything goes. Yeah, so then we spent some time in Brussels, which is a bilingual capital because it unites the south of the country, which is French speaking, and the north of the country, which is, I'm going to say Dutch speaking, but they speak technically a language called Flemish, which is a version of Dutch that's mixed a little bit with French, has a slightly less harsh sounding pronunciation, and some different words as well. In fact, the French does have a couple of words that don't really exist in the French of France either, such as when they count, they don't say 90 as, I think this is both Switzerland and Belgium, but I can't remember exactly. But in France you say 80 plus 10, no, actually you say 4 20s plus 10, 80, 10 for 90, but I think in Belgium you say 90. I had a friend in university who grew up in Brussels, and I think that's what she told me. And then that's Paris, we're in France now, Paris. Controversially, my favourite part of France isn't Paris at all, it's actually over here in Brittany. And also I love Normandy as well. So Normandy is here, and Brittany. I haven't been to too many places, but I do really want to go to Rennes, and I wouldn't mind going to Nantes. One of my closest friends spent her year abroad learning French in Brest, which is over here, and this area is linguistically and culturally closer to Wales than it is to Paris at times, because they are, as the name suggests, Brittany, they are Celtic, Further down the coast we can see Bordeaux. If you like your wine, you should go there. If you like movies and yachts and you look good in sunglasses, then maybe you should go to the south coast here of France, where we find Nice and Saint-Tropez, just here, where you'll get all the super yachts and all the beautiful people. The island of Corsica is also often left off maps of France, but it is a Mediterranean island. The capital is Ajaccio, or how do you pronounce it? They do have their own sort of language there. Ajaccio, I think, is kind of a Latin language halfway between French and Italian. I have heard very faint calls for independence, but very, very faint. And now we're popping over the Pyrenees. We see Andorra, this country that's very famous for skiing. The official language there is Catalan, not French or Spanish. And then Barcelona, because this is Spain. So we have Barcelona here, and this is Catalonia, where they also speak Catalan. But also then over here we have the Basque country, Bilbao or Bilbo. For example, Baracaldo, Donostia, this area here. And there are, of course, some Basque speakers spilling into the southern part of France as well. Places like Biarritz. This is the northern tip of Spain, where we can see A Coruña, another part where they speak a different language. This time it's a version of Portuguese, or it's actually where Portuguese came from, and it's called Galician, Gallego, and we can also see here Vigo. This is very beautiful. If you think, when you think of Spain, of beaches and sunshine, then don't book a trip here. You'll be quite shocked. This area is very wet, very grey, very beautiful, but there aren't so many beaches as there are coves and semi-fjords almost. This would be a beautiful holiday trip for someone who likes to tent and camp out and is not worried about getting wet. Santiago de Compostela is a pilgrimage site, and you can walk there from France actually, and Portugal. I've got a couple of friends who have done a shorter version of it, walking up through Portugal. And Santiago de Compostela is also one of the wettest places in Spain. I think it rains like something absurd, like 200 days a year or something. And because of their Celtic roots, similar to Brittany that we were talking about earlier on, they do have gaitan. What are they called in English? The thing that you play in Scotland. Bagpipes. They play the bagpipes there. Here we can see the northern part of Portugal with the very beautiful city of Porto here. The second largest city of Portugal. We can also see Madrid just peeping into view here. Let's skip some pages. Oh, so now we have Germany and the Czech Republic, also known as Czechia. This is the capital, Praha. And this is the border, the purple line. So this is the south of Germany, also known as Bayern, Bavaria. Here, not here. Frankfurt am Main is not in Bayern. You can see Dortmund. This is the Rhine-Westphalen, I think, area, and then Mainz, Frankfurt am Main, Darmstadt. That's all a different region as well. Stuttgart as well. But then here we can see the start of Bavaria, because you can have Nuremberg, Augsburg, and also the capital of this southern region, which has its own sort of dialect of German and own traditions, which is Munich, München. You can just see Austria coming into view here as well. Look, Austria, Linz. This is the northern part of Germany, so Hamburg, very beautiful city, lots of canals. Hanover is also very large. Bremen. Bremen is one of the smallest states in Germany, because it's actually just Bremen and Bremerhaven, which are nowhere near each other, and they make up a state of Germany, even though the rest of the states are usually huge. I think Hamburg is the second. I think Hamburg is its own state off the top of my mind, and Berlin as well, which is a state which is completely surrounded by another state. It's just in a circle. Is it Potsdam? No, I can't remember the name of the state. This is Denmark. It's the mainland Jutland of Denmark, where we can see places such as Aalborg. Lots of water here, so lots of canals, very flat, no mountains. Aarhus is here as well. And then these are the islands with Odense, and also Kubenhavn in this island. This island over here, Bornholm, is Danish as well, that's what that means. And this is the tip of Sweden. You can see Öland here, Kalmar, beautiful castle in Kalmar. And this area used to be part of the Danish kingdom for many years, and so it's called Skåne, and they do speak, it's neither Swedish nor Danish, it's almost its own. Linguists are trying to prove its own language, but people say it's a dialect of Swedish, but the dialect itself has a very Danish sounding Danish sound to it, such as when you pronounce the letter R in the rest of Sweden, you pronounce it like a R sound, but in Danish you pronounce it like a R sound, and they pronounce it like a R. So Malmö here is connected to Copenhagen via a bridge, the Östersundbron. And much further up north, you can see just Norway tipping into view here with the capital of Oslo in this fjord. Fredrikstad as well, Sarpsborg. But Stockholm is over here, it's very massive. Stockholm is the largest city, I believe, in Scandinavia, because Norway and Denmark both have a population, I think, approximately of 5 million, whereas Sweden actually has a population of 10 million. This Oslo again, as well as Bergen, over on the west coast. Very beautiful west coast. Look at all those islands and inlets. Ooh, okay. And now we've skipped a couple of pages. We're in Greece. So this is Thessaloniki. And we can see the border here with Bulgaria. And this will be with Northern Macedonia. So Skopje is the capital of that country. And Albania. And the capital of that country is Tirana. And so we can see Larissa in Greece, Ioannina. But the capital is further down. Here it is, Athens, which is by far the largest city in Greece. But of course Greece is very famous for all its many, many islands. This is the largest island of Greece, and it's called Crete, Crete. Herakleio is the capital, I assume, of this. And this little side part here is showing Turkey. This is Bodrum. Many British people go on holiday to Bodrum. very beautiful beaches, and all these islands here are part of Greece, including Kos, another tourist destination for Brits, and Rhodos, where I've actually been. I've been to Lindos, and Rhodes town is at the top here. And you can take a little boat trip and go over to Turkey if you want to. Okay, I'm going to finish there. Because Constanța, beautiful seaside port in Romania, stunning beaches, very hot. On the Black Sea, the Chernomore. See Burgas and Varna of, this is going to be Bulgaria. And here we can see Istanbul, because this is the European part of Turkey. This is the Anatolia, the Asian part. Okay, we'll stop there. And thank you again for watching this video. Do leave a comment, leave a like as well while you're at it, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Check out part 1 of this video series.